Hello, I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living, just doing some of the technical stuff. Um, if you've not tuned in before, I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a very frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, feel free to drop any questions for our guest into the comment section. You will see me turn side to side, which you saw me doing. I'm playing with the screen, et cetera, et cetera. So today's guest is Diana Edelman, a former publicist turned travel blogger, turned elephant rescuer, turned writer, and frequent television personality. She is larger than life, from working with elephants in the Thai jungle to taking center stage at top travel, blogging, and vegan conferences. She has been featured in Travel and Leisure, the LA Times, Billboard, Huffington Post, plus many more. Diana is founder of Vegans, Baby, a business dedicated to making vegan life easier and vegan dining more approachable. Diana curates vegan events at the James Beard Foundation, as well as creates international exclusive vegan tours. Vegan's Baby is making it easy to dine, travel, and live vegan. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. So, other than the show today, what is on your plate? What are you doing?
Well, I am launching Vegan Dining Month here in New York, and it's in its sixth year in Las Vegas. But so I've got some calls today for sponsorships about that. And then I'm speaking at a supplier summit in a couple weeks. So I'm working on a challenge for those participants for their social media. And then tonight there's a new restaurant that's opening here in New York City called Rabbit. And so I am going to check them out. It's a all raw vegan restaurant that's 13 courses. So I'm really excited to go and support them and try the food.
So raw is sort of something that Charlie Trotter was very much into in his lifetime and doing. So it isn't just vegan, it's raw.
Well,
There's no cooking.
yes, exactly. Yep. Vegan, raw. I think nothing gets above 105 degrees maybe in the preparation. So it's a lot of dehydrated dishes and things like that.
Um, were you raised vegan? If not, was there a aha moment? I call it the Wizard of Oz moment when black and white turns to color. Was
Yeah.
there a moment that you said, I'm going to be vegan? Or were you raised that way?
I was not raised vegan, but I was a very, very picky eater growing up. As I got into my early 20s, I became a lot more of an eclectic eater, working in PR in Vegas and doing PRs for restaurants. So I had a lot of very different foods than I ever grew up having. But I wasn't vegan, never thought about going vegan until 2016. Prior to that, in 2012, I moved to Thailand and worked in elephant rescue, and I saw just things that I think that just stuck with me. And on my way home one day from coming back from the elephant sanctuary, I saw a truck full of pigs being taken to slaughter, and I haven't touched meat since. And then 2016, when I was getting ready to move back to the States, I was with a friend of mine who was vegan, and we were talking about going vegan. And I was just like, I don't think I could give up eggs or pizza. And she just sat me down and said, you know so much, and you've made the connection with meat. How come you haven't made this bigger picture connection? And we talked about it, and I was like, you're absolutely right. I'm kind of a hypocrite if I'm, saying I won't eat meat, but I'll still consume other products that are very much cruel to animals. So that was it. That was my black and white to color moment, and it's been 6 years.
And let me ask you this. You do so much under the title of Vegans, Baby. And the information on Diana is going to come up. Everything you need to know is on her website. It's veganspluralbaby.com. So go there and feel free to pop up your questions. I'm going to look from time to time to see if we have anything here. Don't see anything at the moment. Your vegan tours. Now, you have one coming up in Botswana.
Yes.
An African tour. Tell me more about that.
I am a partner with this amazing luxury conscious tour operator called Alluring Africa, and we work together to curate and bring vegan tours to the public. So I took a group to South Africa in June, and it was fully curated by me. And then they asked me to come host this trip to Botswana. So November 23rd through December 4th, it is a luxury vegan trip, and it starts in Johannesburg with a vegan Thanksgiving. And then we fly to Botswana, and we are staying 8 nights at 2 different luxury explorer camps. In Botswana, where we'll be going on multiple safaris, canoe safaris, walking safaris, game drives, and things like that. And we're actually taking over both of those camps. So it's just going to be us. We have exclusive access to the camps. So the camps for those 8 nights are going to be fully vegan. As of today, we have 2 rooms left on the tour. So I'm really excited about that. It's one of those trips of a lifetime. Typically Botswana is very expensive, and it is very expensive, but somehow Alluring Africa has such amazing connections, and they were able to lower the price by almost half of what like you would normally pay for the experience. So I can't wait to go. It really is. It's a dream trip. I love going on safari. I love being able to see animals in the wild without imposing on them or touching them, or having them be like made to be part of my narrative. So it's just really cool, and I can't wait to go experience it.
You've done other international tours. What were some of the previous ones? You said South Africa.
And then in 2019 I took a group to Thailand. I used to live there, and I partnered with another person who was a former travel blogger like myself, and we brought a group of 10 people to Thailand. So it was Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Phuket. And then I had a few tours lined up in 2020, 2021, and obviously those kind of were canceled. Last year I was able to do a foodie weekend in New York, and then I'm repeating that foodie weekend here September 16th through 18th. It's a full weekend of really amazing food experiences, including dinner with one of the most incredible chefs I've ever met. We're doing a private dinner at his house, and then a vegan food tour, and then just a walking tour of the city, and then a vegan buffet brunch the last day.
And that's September 16th through the 18th.
Correct, yes.
They can get the information on vegansbaby.com.
Yes.
And also you're doing, in January, you're setting up a vegan restaurant week?
Yeah, so it's called Vegan Dining Month, and I started it basically as an alternative to Restaurant Week in Las Vegas, because there were no restaurants that had vegan options as a part of Restaurant Week. And so I decided that I wanted there to be options. And so I figured it would be great to have a whole month, so that way there's time for all the different restaurants participating, people to go check them out. And so this is in its 6th year in Las Vegas, its 3rd year in Portland, and then I'm bringing it to New York this year as well. And so for the month of January, to coincide with Veganuary, which is the international challenge for people to go vegan, restaurants around these cities are making it easier to find vegan options. So whether it's a vegan restaurant that's coming out with a couple of new dishes, or vegan-friendly restaurants that are introducing new dishes or putting together special menus, they'll be available all month long. And then a portion of the proceeds from every dish sold as a part of Vegan Dining Month is donated to a local charity in that particular city.
I'm sitting here, there's so many thoughts going across my mind. We were talking before we went on air. Here in Baltimore, August has been Vegan Restaurant Month.
Yes.
And there is an article in the Baltimore Sun papers, which I think is very fascinating, that is vegan soul restaurants were being featured. So it was the soul food. And now that brings me to plant-based foods, because these vegan soul restaurants are doing fried chicken, which is not chicken. They're doing pot roast, which is not beef. There's a lot that has come out on plant-based foods. When I was at the Fancy Food Show this year, the number was huge. Yes. I mean, just vegan cheese, vegan this, vegan that. There is, I'm just checking my notes, there is actually a Plant-Based World Expo September 8th to September 9th at the Javits Center that are all about plant-based cheese and meats and all these plant-based items. In fact, one of the companies that I saw at the Fancy Food Show is recommended here as one of the possible award winners. It's called, okay, Dara, you put it here. It's Poppalicious, I believe, and it's mushroom caps.
Yes. Yeah, it's like dried mushroom caps. Yeah.
Right, with seasonings on it, truffle and other flavors. So I think it's Poppalicious. I lost my note on that.
You are correct. That is the name.
Okay, good. I got something right. I'm so excited. So are you planning to go to the Plant-Based World Expo?
I sure am. I went last year, and it's incredible. There are so many emerging brands coming onto market. I think last year, Umaro, which is a vegan bacon company, they're using seaweed to make bacon. It's one of the most amazing products I've ever had. Bacon was one of those things, like I loved bacon before I went vegan, and I never got to like say goodbye to it. Like I never had the last bite of conscious bacon, you know? And their product is amazing. They were just on Shark Tank, and now they are debuting here in New York. So it's an incredible expo, lots of up and coming products, returning companies. There's Please Cheese that's really good, and they're allergen-free vegan cheese company. There's some really amazing products I'm looking forward to trying this year.
On your site, you have a listing of vegan cheeses.
Yes.
Now, some are spreadable cheeses. You have it broken down in categories, or fine dining cheeses, shredded cheeses. So if anybody's looking, there's a huge selection, 30, 40?
And that's honestly there's more than that. Those were just like the most prominent ones. You know, there's new vegan cheeses coming out all the time, especially in like the artisanal category, where they're coming up with like the beautiful cheeses you pair with wines and things like that. Like there's so many local cheese makers that you can find in different cities. It's really impressive to see, and they're really amazing products.
We were talking earlier, you went to Towson University at that, right?
Yes.
Here in Baltimore. But from what you're telling me, you weren't vegan at the time.
No, I worked at Crackpot, which if you're familiar with Crackpot in Towson, it's a crab shack. I was definitely not vegan at the time.
That's funny. That's funny. I want to get back to New York, and I want to talk about 10 years ago, or even further back. I was helping out in the kitchen at a charity event. It was 2 chefs, and it was a preset menu. It was a very expensive thing. And this was 20 years ago, maybe further. The 2 chefs, one looking at us says, "We have 3 vegans." He said, "I bought portobello mushrooms." I mean, there was nothing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you went to a restaurant, other than the salad not having any type of cheese in it because it's an animal byproduct, it was portobello mushrooms. That's what you got served. That was the selection. In New York, where you're basing all this, there's a restaurant called 11 Madison Park.
Yes.
Which, for those people who don't follow restaurants, they are like the top 10 restaurants in the world. Michelin star. The chef is Daniel Hume. And he turned the food world on its side like 3 years ago when he says, "I'm going to a plant-based menu." And that is all he serves now. I was there once for lunch and had a beautiful beet salad. But 8 to 10 courses, over $300 for this plant-based meal. But before he did this, Amanda Cohen of Dirt Candy.
Yes.
She really came to the forefront, and she's been, I guess, at Dirt Candy a good 10 years at least. And she's the one who really showed people that vegan food can be tasty and beautiful and wonderful. And luckily, she has survived COVID. Her site's up there. I suggest people check it out. You can do like a 5-course meal. It includes but not taxed for like $90. And it's seasonal. If you're going to New York and you want to try something, and of course you can check with Diana and see her recommended places. But Dirt Candy, I've met Amanda a couple times through Women Chefs and Restaurateurs. Let's see. Okay, vegan, blah, blah, blah. Do you do much cooking yourself?
No, that's part of the reason I started Vegans Baby was because I don't really cook and I like to eat out. And I didn't think there'd be vegan options where I went. So I started Vegans Baby to show people like where I was eating and where they had vegan options. So, no.
Is there one dish that you make?
Oh yeah, I do. Like I'm very good with the air fryer and the Instapot. So I lately have been on a bowl kick. So I'll do like brown rice, broccoli, air fried tofu, crispy chickpeas, mushrooms, and then some furikake Trader Joe's seasoning on it. That's like my go-to.
I was just checking to see if there are any questions coming up. What is the difference between tofu and seitan?
Tofu is made from soy and seitan is made from vital wheat gluten. They're going to give you a little bit different textures. Seitan often is used as almost like a deli meat type of thing, or like the chicken sandwiches you'll see tend to be seitan. And tofu is more like it's tofu. You know, you marinate it. It takes all the flavors of whatever it is you're marinating it in.
It's more spongy.
Yeah. You can fry it up. You can do. I haven't made it myself, but you could do like tofu nuggets that are very crispy if you freeze the tofu first and then thaw it out and cook it, I think. I air fry my tofu all the time or pan sear it. But yeah, tofu I tend to do more like on its own versus seitan, which you're going to put like as like a deli meat.
Okay. I was just, somebody asked me that and I couldn't answer them. And, you know, they go, well, you know food, that's why I'm asking you. I said, there's Google. Just ask Google. It'll give you the answer.
Always a good answer.
Yeah. How can veganism save the world?
Wow, that's a great question. There's been so much research done and studies done that show that by consuming less meat, less dairy, less seafood, that it benefits the environment. So if you look at animal agriculture, and it's a huge reason for climate change, they're knocking down the Amazon for cattle farming, things like that. And the fishing industry is responsible for a big part of the destruction of the ocean and overfishing. So the more people that are able to swap out meat for vegan alternatives, the better chance we have of kind of working towards combating climate change. So that's the biggest thing. And then also, obviously, in terms of just animals, going vegan certainly can change the world by not consuming animals. There's so many technologies now with cell-based meats and things like that, where you don't need to use an actual animal to create these products. So people can still, if they don't want to give up meat or dairy, there are all these alternatives now, alternatives coming into the market now that provide an option where you're not just destroying an animal's life and you're not destroying the environment for your food.
And there's something more than portobello mushrooms or a cauliflower steak. Thank God for fresh herbs and spices that make things pop. I'm curious, you know, there's always been a concern when you're vegan that you're not getting quite the B12 that you need.
Mm-hmm. I've never had a problem.
Pardon me?
I'm so sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I was saying that being vegan, they say one of the downsides is you're not getting enough B12, which comes from animal byproducts. Do you just supplement with B12, or is there something in the vegetarian world that helps supplement?
I mean, I've never had an issue with B12 or protein or anything like that. There certainly are vegan B12 supplements you can take. If you need it in your diet, which obviously, you know, you do need B12. So yeah, you could just take a supplement, super easy.
I'm looking at a question and I don't think it makes sense to what we've covered. As a speaker, you discuss responsible animal tourism to building communities. And is that one of the seeds that put you towards veganism or to be a
There was
vegan?
Yeah, so I in 2010 I started a travel blog and it became like one of the top 100 travel blogs in the world in the early 2010s. And when I went to Thailand on vacation, I volunteered at an elephant sanctuary, and it was there I really saw the impact of people like me who are travel bloggers and recommending different activities without really knowing what we were talking about. You know, when I went to Thailand, I wanted to ride an elephant. That was my big thing. And I wanted to interact with them. And so I went and volunteered at this sanctuary for a week, and it's where I kind of learned the impact that like people like me and others have when it comes to animal tourism. And that, you know, I'm sitting here talking about how I want to ride an elephant, but I had no idea of the training they have to go through, how it's terrible for their bodies to have riders on them, and the ins and outs of different aspects of animal tourism. You look at SeaWorld and the orcas in captivity, the dolphins that they're capturing these animals from the wild and putting them into zoos and things like that. I learned a lot. And so it was really, that was the start of my journey, was becoming involved in responsible tourism. When I went back to work for this sanctuary about maybe 9 months later, the founder of the organization started taking me on these undercover missions where we were going around Southeast Asia and learning about what was really happening and how the money we were spending, our tourism dollars, were actually impacting these animals. And so that was the jumping off point for me to kind of realize my decisions and what I was spending my money on really does impact the lives of others.
You were right there for the James Beard Foundation to curate vegan dinners. Now, for those who don't understand the James Beard Foundation, it is to the movies like the Academy Awards. It is the pinnacle of where you want to do a dinner. Chefs, spend money to go there and feed people there. It's all about food and being recognized and being the best of the best. How did that come about? Did you approach them? Did they approach you?
They approached me actually. The director of events at the house saw Border Grill, and I think Susan Feiniger had posted about them participating in Vegan Dining Month. They've always been a participant with me, and she posted about it back in 2019. And the director of events reached out to me and said, "Hey, I love what you're doing in Las Vegas. Would you be interested in being the first person to curate a city-driven dinner at the James Beard House and make it entirely plant-based?" And, when James Beard comes knocking on your door, you absolutely answer it. And so I said 100% yes. And it was so successful. We did another one a few months later, and then had plans for more, but obviously the pandemic stopped all of that, and they just reopened their house actually. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what transpires with that in the coming months and years. But it was just a wild experience to be asked to curate that and to
I
bring
think
it.
that's fabulous. It says so much about you and how you've cemented your place in vegan dining, vegan travel, making life better for those who want to be vegan, who didn't have these opportunities or the know-how, and you put it out there for them. You do it a lot under the title of Vegan's Baby. You do tours, city guides, you're a speaker. Some of your guides, where to eat vegan, range from Bangkok, Las Vegas, Saskatchewan, to the Jersey Shore. So I do want to recommend that people don't sell yourself short when it says vegan. There's a lot. It's very interesting. vegansbaby.com. We talked about 11 Madison, so I can cross that off my list, and Amanda Cohn. We talked how the plant-based cheese and meats have come a long way. I'm just looking at my notes. Papadelic. It was written down there. I just didn't see it. What was your best bite this week?
Ooh, Cadence. They are a vegan soul food restaurant in the East Village in New York. Chef Shanari Greens was just nominated for a James Beard Award. Ravi DeRossi, who is owns the restaurant group and is just incredibly just this incredible visionary restaurateur, has been nominated for James Beard Awards. So my mom was in town and I took her. It's one of my favorite restaurants in New York. Chef Shinari is just doing amazing things with soul food and plants. And it's just an incredible, delectable dining
What's the
experience.
name of that restaurant again?
Cadence.
Cadence?
Mm-hmm.
Cadence.
Uh-huh.
Oh, she can spell too. Aren't we proud of ourselves? If you could go back and give yourself, your 18-year-old self, a piece of advice, what would it be?
I think that it's just blips on your radar. It's an expression my mom always says to me, actually, where, you at 18, these big life altering experiences are happening and you think, how am I ever going to get through this? And just kind of realizing as you progress through life that these experiences, these moments where you just think, oh my God, they're just, the worst, the best of this and that. Like, it really is just the smallest little dot, this little blip on your radar. And everything leads you to something bigger and better.
That's great. That's, your mother sort of set it up and you're sort of following it through.
Exactly.
We talked about what you like to cook. Did you ever have an epic culinary fail that you care to share?
I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start. Many, many years ago, way back when I was first learning to cook, I definitely burned spaghetti, which I don't know how you burn spaghetti, but I burned spaghetti.
That would be a hard feat to do. Yeah,
I did it. Honestly, I think I'm just really, really bad at following recipes. Like, I tend to look at a recipe and think, got it. And I'm in it and I'm doing it. And then I realize, like, I was supposed to mix this with this and not this with this. And I'm like, oh, well, let's just hope it tastes good. And then, like, growing up, I definitely thought I was, like, funny and a cook. And, like, I was very young and my parents had an anniversary. And so I decided I was going to make them fruit salad. And I did it literally. So I put, like, the greens and the lettuce and the dressing, and then I put fruit in it. But it wasn't like the pretty salads where you're like the strawberries and the blueberries and some balsamic vinaigrette and, arugula. This was like, here's your Italian bag of salad with some Italian dressing, and here's some, like, apples and strawberries and oranges on it. Like, it was not, I don't remember if they ate it or not, but, like, I remember doing that and thinking I was just, like, so smart. And,
yeah.
I mean, bless them if they ate it.
If you could wake up tomorrow morning with a new talent, what would the new talent be?
Oh, it would be to be a chef. 100%.
Really? Okay. Because you've seen it, you know how hard the work is.
Mm-hmm.
It's far from easy, and it's definitely challenging, and it doesn't bring in a lot of money. So, but if that's what you want, may you wake up tomorrow morning and have that talent.
Yes, please. I would like to be able to wake up and just make just a gorgeous spread of food.
Well, at least you know all the people that you can get the gorgeous food, throw away the containers, and claim it's yours.
This is true.
Right?
Yes.
And we'll wrap up with, what didn't I ask you that I should have?
Honestly, this was very, you got everything. I mean, other than, like, future plans, it was very thorough.
Well, I want to thank you, Diana Edelman, vegansbaby.com, for joining us. And so nice to finally see you. We've been communicating back and forth. You poor thing, you had COVID, you have lingering effects. So may, that all disappear and be out there. Enjoy Rabbit. Is that tonight,
yes.
Rabbit?
Yes, Rabbit is tonight.
Okay. And if there's an exciting vegan restaurant in Brooklyn, we're going to be doing, a friend of mine, like a little walking tour in Brooklyn.
Yes.
One day. Let me know. Just drop me a note. Okay.
So good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moi, safe travels. Thank you for joining us.
Take care.
All righty. Okay, everyone. Let's see. The food enthusiast will be on vacation. Well, not me, my producer. She's going to be on vacation, and I will be returning Thursday, September 8th With Henry Lovejoy, president of EcoFish Freshe or Freshie, Henry and Lisa's Natural Seafood Freshe is a new product that is changing the canned food stigma, proving meals in a can can be healthy and delicious. The ready-to-eat, globally inspired small meals are made up of simple ingredients, vibrant superfoods, and sustainable sourced protein, wild-caught tuna and salmon, infused with savory herbs and spices to nourish and fuel your body. That interview will be Thursday, September 8th. Meanwhile, on September 1st, while Jen's on vacation and I have the week off, we're going to be rerunning the interview with Harvey Sugarman. Those in Baltimore know Harvey from the Harvey's restaurant. It was a great interview, had a huge response, so we're going to rerun that on September 1st. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at food@jmoreliving.com or Instagram at Dara Cooks. All shows are immediately archived in video form on J More Living's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. Feel free to dig into past shows, listen when you're walking, talking, sitting by the pool, running. You don't have to watch it. You can listen to it and just dig in. There's some great shows there. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. Be kind, smile, say hello to people. It really brightens everybody's day, even yours. As always, may your plates remain full. Thank you for tuning in and seeing you back here on September 8th.